Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Osikona Hour. I am your host, Alejandra Fajardo, and with me today I have Nicole, the Director of Operations here at the Milo Foundation. Nicole, thank you so much for agreeing to be on this interview today.
Yes, thank you for having me, and Preston and Mayfair
are here as well as my boom operators and my assistants. Thank you both.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, let's get started. So how did you first get involved with Milo, and what brought you into this organization?
Yeah, so all my life I always really loved animals. I grew up with a huge passion for animals, and when you're little and you love animals, you always think, okay, one day I'm going to be a veterinarian.
Right.
I ended up being a pre-vet at UC Davis and was studying animal science. After I finished that, I started working at an animal shelter. And that's when I really realized, okay, this is where I want to be. I want to be in the rescue world. I don't just want to be doing vet medicine. I actually really want to be working with the rescue animals. There's a lot of animals out there that don't have the love and don't get the care that they deserve. And there's so many that need help. And I just can't imagine not helping them. So that's where I went back and got my master's at UC Davis in animal biology. And that's where I decided I want to stay in the rescue world. And I found this opportunity that allows me to help mass amounts of animals in the ways that I could never imagine.
Okay.
So I'm so fortunate that I found this opportunity.
And how long have you been here?
I've been here for about 10 months now.
Oh, wow. You're kidding.
Yeah.
You know, earlier, this wasn't in the footage, but the amount of change that you've described to me is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And the fact that you've been able to do that in the span of 10 months is so impressive.
There's so much that I wanted to do when I first started here, and I just hit the ground running.
Yeah.
And I am very proud of the stuff that I have done so far, and there's still so much to do.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, what are some future plans for Milo?
So one of the major things that I really want to do is our own spay and neuter mobile unit.
Oh, nice.
Spay and neuter is the basis of helping control the pet overpopulation crisis. And that's what we're really dealing with every day, is the back end of the pet overpopulation crisis. So because people aren't getting their pets spayed and neutered, because they don't have the availability, limited resources, there's not a lot of opportunities for spay and neuter right now. And I want to be able to provide that to the community as well as other communities to help reduce this pet overpopulation crisis and reduce the amount of homeless animals, which will inevitably help us as well, because we won't have the extreme pet overpopulation crisis to deal with, and can focus more on each individual animal.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, so much of what the community needs is a spay and neuter. And, I recently had to spay one of my cats, and it was so difficult to find and available.
And expensive.
Yeah. Extremely expensive. Do you think that's always been the case?
Yeah, it really has. It definitely got worse, about 10 years ago. Limited supply and demand. But we definitely need a lot more options for people to be able to spay and neuter with affordable prices. It can be up to $2,500 to spay a dog, which is absolutely insane. And some people just don't have that money, so they don't do it. But then if that dog does get stray, it can go out there and populate the community.
Right. Can you walk me through a typical day here? Or that's funny to say.
I can't walk you through a typical day here because you never know what's going to be thrown at you.
Yeah.
Animal rescue is never straightforward. You have to be able to bounce off of anything that's thrown at you. You can try to predict as much as possible, but sometimes that can drive you insane, because as much as you try to predict, nothing's going to go as planned. But I can tell you, number one thing is I come in here and I check on all of the animals. My first thing I do is I do a walk around, and I look at every single one of my animals. I try to get eyes on every single one. just to make sure, if there were any that had health issues the day before. And you never know, some things can happen overnight, and you want to make sure that's the first thing that you check on. A lot of it is helping people that come in. So we do get members from the public that come in, need help either rehoming their animals, found a stray animal. We try to help out as much as we can. We do have limited resources with that. A lot of the day-to-day is one of the parts that I like, which is getting animals out of our building. As much as I love having them, I do love to see them go to their forever homes and get the love and care that they deserve. So adoptions is a very prominent thing that I do as well as fostering out. We really rely on our fosters. We have maybe 80 to 100 animals in foster right now. So, helping out our fosters, making sure that they're getting any answers that they need, their animals are getting the care that they need, coming in for routine vaccinations, routine treatments, making sure that all of that is organized. But you never know when something's going to be thrown at you, like a dumped kitten at your door or a crate of 9 puppies. I can tell you that definitely isn't rare here.
Right.
People do know that we are a rescue, and as much as we do love to help animals, it is nice to have a little background on them. So if people actually were to come to us and ask for the help, that would be the support that we would be able to provide and be able to provide better if they gave us the information needed. But a lot of the times we do have staff come in the morning and there's a crate sitting outside with animals in it. So, but yes, mostly keeping everything organized and just trying to punch back things that are thrown at me.
Absolutely.
And hanging out with kids like this all day.
I know, they're precious.
You got to take the moments with all of the chaos happening. You've got to take the moments to appreciate these things. I think this is what keeps all of us sane in animal rescue.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do have a couple more questions.
Yeah, of course.
So with those animals that come in, how do you build trust with an animal that's been through trauma? What is that process like? Yeah,
that's really hard. And I think it really takes a lot of experience. There's a lot of people that don't understand how to deal with animals with trauma. And even if you do understand animals with trauma, each individual one is unique. They're never all the same. So it's always a case-by-case basis. I think most important thing is not rushing, which is really hard to do, with this environment when you're trying to help 80 dogs in the building. It's very hard to take 40 minutes on a single dog, but sometimes that's what you need to do for that individual animal. So yesterday we did have a dog that wasn't doing well in the kennel. No one was able to go in there. She was kind of barking and lunging at people. I had to sit there for about 20 minutes handing her hot dogs before I was able to gain her trust.
Yeah.
And of course, I don't really have the 20 minutes to do that. I'm running around trying to take care of all the other animals, but sometimes it's just something that you have to do.
Yeah.
And if that means that you're going to be going home later, that means you're going to be going home later. That's how rescue world works. But I think it's important to understand that not each individual animal is the same. They are all unique and they've all gone through their own trauma. You can start to see trends between different breeds, especially to kind of help guide you in the future. I have taken a lot of my previous experiences with individual animals to be able to apply to the future animals going forward, which is also very helpful.
What do you think has been the most informational previous experience in your line of work?
I think dealing with these animals that seem to be aggressive, we call it fear aggression, and it's very easy to perceive as an aggressive animal, but seeing how that animal can turn around and how it actually is just scared and isn't aggressive. It's just trying to protect itself. And giving it the time to open up like that and seeing it come around and give you the love that it wanted to give you, but it was scared to give you. Having that experience in the back of your mind and having it multiple times really helps you move forward with the animals that are like that in the future.
Interesting. So you can really, there's a difference in between an aggressive animal and one that's just scared.
Yeah, it's called fear aggression. Yeah. So, they are using their natural instincts to protect themselves. And they are, again, like we've been talking about, have gone through so much trauma that they feel like they have to put their guard up. They're putting their guard up just to protect themselves, but not to actively act out against you. And the more that you see individual animals come around and learn to trust you and learn to love you, and not use that fear aggression, it really helps motivate me to do that with each individual animal that is showing these behavioral signs.
Right. Speaking of species and breeds, are there any patterns that you notice between them?
Oh, goodness, yes. Yes, I mean, you can always say a border collie is going to be a border collie.
Yeah.
Working in rescue, you do get, unfortunately, turnaround where certain situations don't work out. So a lot of people love border collies because they're pretty. They seem like a fun breed, but unfortunately, they sometimes aren't the best family dogs if they aren't getting the exercise that they need.
Right.
So making sure that these animals are getting the outlets that they were bred for. So we have to remember that we created each and every one of these breeds. We created border collies. We created Chihuahuas. They wouldn't have been able to survive without us providing for them and breeding them in this certain way. So you always have to remember, what is this dog bred for? Right. So a border collie is bred to herd.
Yeah.
Right? And so herding entails biting and nipping at heels.
Yeah.
Right? So if you have a child in the home that's running around,
right,
it is natural for that dog to want to herd that child.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what we bred them to do.
Right.
So it's funny when people are confused and think, wow, this is bad behavior, when that's actually what we bred them to do. And said, yes, this is what I want you to do. And then it's confusing for the animal that we turn around and say, no, don't do that, because that's exactly what's in their natural instincts.
Absolutely. That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you know when an animal's ready for adoption?
So there are two sides, medically and behaviorally.
Okay.
Really important is medically, you want to make sure that that animal is healthy. Unfortunately, in this high population environment, with all of the animals coming into us unvaccinated, it's very hard to control the disease spread. And there's this off balance of, do you want to keep them in the shelter and try to continue to help get them better? Or is it better for them to get out of the shelter and get that treatment out of the shelter where they're actually able to recover?
Yeah.
However, when you do that, not everybody wants a sick animal. It's not easy to take care of a sick animal. It can also put people through a lot of trauma as well. So I think there is not a fine line, unfortunately. It's a very blurred line.
Yeah.
And so sometimes there are exceptions that you make where an animal might be a little bit sick, but we'll go ahead and we'll send it out with antibiotics. However, if we do ever send out a sick animal, we do keep up with that foster or adopter to make sure that that animal is getting treated properly. I have an emergency phone that I keep on me 24/7. I sleep with it under my pillow.
Goodness.
I actually just got a call last night around midnight of a cat going to the emergency. It was one of our foster cats, but that's something that I want to be informed about and make sure that I am helping that foster through that difficulty of the animal having that sickness. So we will send out animals that are having a little bit of illnesses, and you never know, emergencies happen as well.
Right.
But we do want to make sure that we stick with that animal until it is healthy. The other side is behaviorally. We want to make sure that these animals are going to be safe and that the people around them and other animals around them are going to be safe. So doing behavioral evals such as cat testing, other dog testing. Unfortunately, it's really hard to do child testing.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to know if a dog is good with a child. I don't have children that I can bring in and test if they're good with a child. So we do really thrive off of dogs going into foster. We're able to get a lot more information out of that. There also is risk involved with that, right? So you have to really inform and educate your fosters before sending the dog into that situation. But we are able to obtain a lot more behavioral information when the dog is sent out to foster. So overall, we want to make sure that they're both medically and behaviorally sound before being available for adoption. Unfortunately, those lines are always blurred. It's never a straight line, and that's what makes animal rescue so difficult.
Right. That's so true. Well, on that same topic, what's something people misunderstand about rescue work or shelters like Milo?
So we're a no-kill, and it's really great to be able to not have to euthanize animals. But, you know, unfortunately in rescue world, there are some animals that are beyond saving. There are some animals that they shouldn't be in the situation that they are. They don't deserve to be in the situation that they are, but unfortunately they are in the situation that they are, and it's our responsibility to take care of them. And so, you know, an animal that has bitten multiple people and is not friendly at all, nobody's going to want to adopt it, unfortunately. There's a lot of animals that are friendly and adoptable, and that means that that animal is going to sit in the kennel waiting and waiting and waiting, sitting in a small kennel day after day. And is that fair to the animal? And finding that balance of, is humane euthanasia actually appropriate?
Right.
And that's a very big challenge that we battle almost every day.
Yeah.
Okay. We're almost done. Sorry.
Yeah, we're almost done.
And that's also animal rescue.
Yeah. We'll leave that in.
But yeah, so, you know, really, a lot of people think, oh, you're killing the animal. And yes, we are a no-kill. We don't euthanize animals.
Yeah.
We get to pick and choose what animals come to us, so we make sure that they are healthy and friendly. But unfortunately, there are other shelters that are in different situations where they don't get to pick and choose what animals come to them.
Yeah.
And an animal might come to them either very, very sick, either medically or behaviorally, and nobody else is going to want that animal. That animal doesn't deserve to be in that situation that it's in. It should have never been in that situation that it's in. But unfortunately it is. And sometimes the best thing for that animal is not to keep it on suffering for the rest of its life, knowing that it's never going to find that forever home.
Right.
So even though we're no-kill, I do hope that people understand why other places do euthanize animals. They don't want to. They don't take it lightheartedly. They're doing it for the animal. And it's really hard for people to understand that.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Yeah. On a lighter note, what's one of, you know, your favorite stories, or like an animal that stuck with you?
Oh, okay. So about 6 months ago, we kept getting calls that this dog was tied to a tree up in Miller Knox Park, which is about a mile away from here. And we were getting consistent calls. And so, you know, about the third call, I was like, you know what, I'm going to go down there. You know, I was pretty much the only one up front. We were short staffed that day, but I hopped in my car and I drove down there. I found this dog. And she wasn't even tied to the tree anymore. You could see that she slipped out of her collar, and her leash and her collar were tied to the tree, and she was sitting next to it. When I tried to approach her, she was barking and lunging and growling at me. When I put my hand out at her, she was snapping, trying to bite me. I took my time. I sat there and I gave her chicken. And I sat there for about 20, 30 minutes. And I was eventually able to leash her up. And I got her into the car and I brought her back here to Milo. She was covered in ticks, extremely matted, very emaciated. I was able to get her back to health. And she got adopted about a month later, and I got to see her go to her forever home. So seeing the amount of fear and trauma that she was in and how defensive she was in, and then seeing her go to her forever home, and then I got some pictures afterwards of her in the home, and just seeing how, you know, taking that time can actually really make a difference.
Yeah. Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. Do you have any dogs, any Milo dogs, in your own home?
I don't. I had my one dog. His name was Bruiser. He was 16 years old. I got him when I was 13. And he recently just passed away. He was the light of my life.
Yeah.
But he taught me so much that can never be taken away. And right now, I do not want another dog. I feel that I have about 100 dogs.
Yeah.
And my goal is to be able to give the time and commitment to all of the animals here at Milo and not segregate that time just into one, as much as I would love that myself. I want to be able to give all of these animals the love and care that they deserve and that they don't have.
Absolutely. Well, do you have any last minute messages?
I just want to say that I think people really don't understand the severe crisis that we're in. A lot of people really love animals and don't understand how many animals are being put to sleep every day. There are hundreds to thousands of animals, healthy, friendly puppies, being euthanized every single day for no reason. And I can't stress enough the importance of spay and neuter and controlling this pet overpopulation crisis so that these animals don't have to suffer. And if you can adopt, that's awesome. If you can't adopt, foster. If you can't foster, volunteer. If you can't volunteer, donate. Everybody can help in any way possible, and we need it more now than ever.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nicole.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was fun.
Yeah.
And Creston and Mayfair had a great time too.
I know. Little buggers. Are they available for adoption? They
Yeah.
are? Okay. Well, there's two very friendly little fellas that are ready to be adopted.
Yes, come meet them. They just got spayed and neutered, so that's why they have their cones on. The importance of spay and neuter.
Precious.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course.
This is fun.
Yeah, this is cool. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for watching.
Bye.
Peace out. Like and subscribe. You know what to do.